Money Heist might be all about criminals robbing banks, but lapses in logic are the biggest crimes in the hit Netflix series. From the professor acting carelessly, to the gang's handling of explosives. The show is full of plot holes that have left fans scratching their heads. Let's uncover them. The early seasons of Money Heist were pretty airtight for the most part, but the first part saw the professor make a massive blunder that can't be overlooked. His thoughtful planning and meticulous attention to detail have helped the gang carry out some pretty ambitious robberies.
Hacking the alarms, cybercrime, we're talking 6 to 24 months. And then of course there's public disturbance for the robbery itself, 1 to 6 years.
But the so-called genius has been sloppy on occasion. Take the Royal Mint heist, for example. After the professor realizes that Helsinki didn't destroy their car, he finds it and wipes it down so the cops can't find his DNA. However, it's later discovered that he actually left some fingerprints on the car, even though he was wearing freaking gloves. It makes you wonder why the junkyard scene was even necessary in the first place. But I suppose made for some exciting television. Or maybe the show's creators were just trying to tell us that gloves aren't a guaranteed way to hide your fingerprints if you plan on committing any crimes.
Get going.
The issue with this particular storyline didn't stop there either. You see, in addition to leaving some DNA at the scene, the professor was also spotted by a witness. The man was then called upon by the police to provide a police sketch of the professor. He was able to provide a detailed sketch of the criminal, but the professor manages to hack into the system and threaten him. In short, the professor threatens to kill the man's wife and kid if he doesn't delete the sketch from the computer.
He was detached from his emotions and operated like a machine.
Understandably, the fella ends up wiping the drawing away and saving the professor's incompetent butt. What's super weird though is how the cops basically just shout at the witness for his actions and leave it at that.
¿Qué cojones te ha dicho?
No escuché nada. ¿Qué te ha dicho?
H50 Central, ¿de dónde coño han emitido ese mensaje en ruso?
Here's a guy who had integral information on their number one culprit, and they just let him walk away without trying to probe him further. The law enforcers clearly heard what was said, too. Yet they didn't try to reassure their key witness about his family's safety. They had the power to put them all into a witness protection program, or even just send officers to his house to guard his loved ones. Yet they didn't offer any of those bargaining chips or use any other persuasion tactics to get the information they needed. Police officers? More like give up officers.
Those motherfuckers.
And don't even get me started on their high-tech equipment. Did this lowly witness genuinely have the technical acumen to know how to permanently delete files from police computers? Or were the computers from the last century? Even Microsoft Paint has an undo function that allows you to restore deleted work. Is this show really trying to tell us that the Spanish police department fancy computers aren't as sophisticated as Microsoft Paint? If this ordeal happened in real life, the police involved would probably lose their jobs. If this whole situation taught us anything, it's that the cops and criminal masterminds of Money Heist are inept. While we're on the subject of ineptness, let's talk about the Arturo Dilemmas. He's caused a few problems for the robbers every single time they bump into him. As we can see during this next scene, he holds poor Denver at gunpoint.
Que me dispares. Dispárame.
Por favor. Por favor, no.
Maybe he was intimidated into that confrontation, but check out this next one. That all stemmed from Denver getting jiggy with the object of Arturo's desires, but we can't show that clip here. It makes sense why Arturo would have problems with the gang. I mean, he had plenty of reasons to hate Denver. What doesn't make sense is how the robbers welcomed him back after their previous interactions with the sleazebag. During the Bank of Spain robbery, Arturo runs into the building to willingly become a hostage. Given all the problems he caused in the past, it makes no sense for the group to accept him again. But maybe he's changed, right? The third time is the charm. No way, Jose. Arturo basically tried to get other hostages to turn against the robbers. He might have been successful too, but his predatory behavior towards women proved to be his undoing in the end.
I just remembered. You offered me some pills too, didn't you? You piece of shit.
There's no denying that Arturo is a great character who brings more drama to the story, but he really did make our favorite Spanish criminals look dumb. Let's move on to Season 4 now. This was when Money Heist really started going off the rails and leaving plot holes all over the place. Do you remember when the gang got into a squabble with Gandia in the action-packed finale? If you do, then you'll recall that moment where he threw a grenade at Rio and Denver when they were inside an elevator. Fortunately, the lovable robbers managed to shield themselves from the blast by using their hard hats. But seriously, come on, guys. I know the show requires us to suspend our disbelief, but ain't no one walking away from a situation like that unscathed. Let's pretend that it's possible to survive a point-blank grenade explosion in a confined space. But surely Rio and Denver should have at least experienced long-term curing damage after being exposed to that blast head-on? Not at all. That being said, Money Heist's 4th season was full of plot holes whenever Gandia was in the equation. Rio and Denver survived one little grenade, but their assassin enemy proved to be invincible most of the season. There were plenty of opportunities to take him out, yet the gang just couldn't find their aim for some reason. Gandia might have been unstoppable at times, but he's not the smartest tool in the shed. He's supposed to be a master assassin with years of combat experience, the type of fella who can handle any situation. Yet it was Palermo who told him how to escape from a pair of handcuffs, by breaking his thumbs, no less. You'd think he'd have known how to do that already, but I guess he just wasn't used to being taken captive. Now, let's tie this all together. We've already established that the professor is guilty of overlooking small details, and has been since the get-go. But are you ready for the worst of the worst plot hole in this crazy show? Gandia is probably the most formidable threat that the gang has encountered so far. We just saw how bullets didn't damage him, but he's also the dastardly deviant who killed Nairobi. Think that all of this could have been prevented. You see, Gandia was one of the gang's hostages all the way back in Season 3, yet the professor failed to do anything about it. So when he was eventually introduced as the main antagonist, many viewers were left scratching their heads. Shouldn't he have been taken care of already? Why didn't the professor highlight how dangerous he was when he was in the Bank of Spain? It took the criminal mastermind 5 months to figure out the Bank of Spain heist. But he overlooked key details, and it ended in disaster. And not just for Nairobi.
Get back!
But let's not be too hard on the show. The illogical twists and turns are what make it so dramatic and entertaining. What are some Money Heist plot holes that really got under your skin? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see a more lighthearted Money Heist video, however, be sure to check out our breakdown of the bloopers versus actual scenes.